You know the deal. Another simple, but not basic video. It is what it sounds like. We're talking about masculine fragrances, fragrances that smell
manly.
And not only that, but these fragrances are, in my opinion, worth their asking prices. This is obviously a subjective debate, but based on the way that these fragrances smell to me, the way that they make me feel, and the experiences I've had wearing them, I think they're worth every penny. And it's really as simple as that. So let's dive right into it. Now, as I like to do from time to time, I'm going to give you an honorable mention. So technically you're getting 8 recommendations instead of 7. But this is an honorable mention because it is a little bit of a shameless plug. This is my fragrance, which, if you're asking me to remove every other fragrance on earth except for one, this is the one I'm not removing. And it's because it's my baby. I made this. This is Second Soul. I made this in collaboration with Zaharoff. And as I've said many times, this is me in a bottle. If you've tried Second Soul, go ahead and sound off in the comments about what you think. I'm actually not going to share my opinion about this fragrance with you because obviously I'm going to say good things about it. Rather, those of you who have tried this fragrance and you enjoy it, let other people know down in the comments what it is you like about Second Soul. A couple of things to note about this before we move on. Number one, this is a 120 milliliter bottle, which goes for about 160 bucks. It's really difficult to find a deal like that on the market these days. As far as size, as far as what you get for the money, I do think this is one of the best deals out there. Other thing to note about this, I don't know if this is gonna still be here. You may not be able to get it ever again. So if you've been sleeping, it's a perfect time to grab this fragrance. It is kind of intended for this time of year, the cooler weather, although it does still thrive on like summer nights and things like that. Maybe consider snagging it up. There's going to be a link down below. Let's get into the actual list. No particular order here. From the house of Xerjoff, technically the Casa Morati brand, but under the Xerjoff umbrella, this is called Mefisto. I just got my hands on this fragrance recently. I've smelled it many times over the years. I actually do love the Gentle Uomo flanker. That is a beautiful fragrance, but the original is also very good. Bottom line, if you like Creed's Silver Mountain Water, you'll love this fragrance. If you don't like Creed's Silver Mountain Water, you'll probably like this fragrance. I do like Silver Mountain Water, but I prefer this just a little bit more. It's just as fresh, cooling, almost green metallic-like, almost a little bit of a tea vibe, but there is this strong masculinity to the scent, almost a muskiness in the background that just makes it smell authoritative while still being fresh and relatively easygoing. And it might seem light, but it actually hangs in the air quite a bit. I actually got some decent notices while wearing this fragrance recently, more than I expected because I wasn't necessarily detecting it myself. Just goes to show your nose is not infallible. Always be careful. Just because you can't smell it doesn't mean other people can't either. They usually can. Nonetheless, this is a fantastic option if you're looking for something masculine and easy to wear all year round. Let me know if you've tried Mefisto, and if you haven't, there's going to be links down below to check it out. From the designer brand of Brioni, one of the most underrated and up-and-coming designer brands as far as fragrances go. They've really been putting out some wonderful releases into the market over the past few years, and I guess they maybe had some kind of revamp or some rebranding. I'm not exactly sure what was going on behind the scenes, but started with Brioni Eau de Parfum. Now I get a violet leaf feel out of this, that almost fresh green cucumbery metallic quality, but I don't think there's actually violet leaf in here. However, there is violet, and violet is an interesting note that you don't see a ton of at the forefront in mainstream or designer market men's fragrances. Violet is a little bit of a sweeter floral note, and when paired with freshness like aldehydes or anything that is considered ozonic, maybe even aquatic, it can be a really beautiful fragrance. You put some woods behind it, you have an elegant but masculine fragrance. So there's a touch of natural floral sweetness here, but there's also a little bit of apple in here, which adds a crisp, slightly fruity quality. I wouldn't call this a sweet fragrance. It is mostly woody and fresh, but different enough. If you smelled fragrances like Roberto Cavalli's Uomo, this is kind of in that vein, except a little bit less sweet than that. That has a honey note in addition to the violet. I think this is going to be a little bit more likable than that, slightly higher quality, and a little bit more robust. I think it's more long lasting than that fragrance, but this is a great option, guys. Let me know if you've checked out Brioni Eau to Parfum. We got an easy breezy one here. Those of you guys looking for a fresh, spicy fragrance that can be worn all year round. Borderline blue and almost generic smelling, but the way it comes together with its very natural ingredients makes it much more naturalistic smelling than being just a synthetic mainstream bomb. From Precious Liquid, we have Salt and Pepper. Easiest way I can describe this fragrance, imagine Dior Sauvage. Good fragrance, it's fine, it's just everywhere. Imagine Dior Sauvage as a cartoon. This is the live action. It is just more natural ingredient based Dior Sauvage. Not that Dior Sauvage is completely synthetic, but there's a lot of synthetic going on in there. It's like real black pepper, salty, minerally fresh, kind of aquatic, but not overtly. Definitely some woods in the background, maybe also some ambroxan, but it doesn't come off too heavy on my skin. It smells, again, pretty natural, long lasting, fresh, a little bit more upscale, a little bit more elegant, but you could easily wear something like this to the gym. And from what I've heard and in my experience, does get some positive feedback. A little bit more on the expensive side, so maybe sample it if you can. I'll link to what I can find down below, but if you do blind buy it, it is what people might call a safe blind buy. At the very least, you'll like it. No guarantee you'll love it. Tread at your own risk. But that is Precious Liquid. This fragrance, one of the best to come out in the last few years as far as flankers go in the designer realm. Honestly, kind of a flawless scent. Doesn't mean you're gonna like it, but if you do, I think you're gonna love it. From Cartier, we have Pasha Parfum. This boozy, sweet, resinous, woody fragrance that smells reminiscent of its predecessor, the original Pasha that came out in 1992, but utterly modern here. They basically just stripped away the freshness, like the clean lavender feel, the mossiness. It is based on the fougere, but it's more of an ambery, boozy fougere, if I could say such a thing. More on the sweeter side, a little bit richer, more for the evening, more for the cooler weather. Mature without smelling dated or too vintage. Perfect fragrance for the gentleman who wants to carry more of a sophisticated personality with them. That is Pasha Parfum from Cartier. This one is not for the faint. This is natural oud, especially at first spray, and for the first 20 minutes or so, you're going to get real oud. A little bit funky, not nasty smelling, but definitely edgy, but you can tell there's a lot of oomph. There's a lot of rich elegance kind of backing it up that does come to the forefront as the oud gets a little bit out the way. So you've been warned, this is an oud fragrance, which is not going to be for everyone, but I think this makes it incredibly masculine, and it's perfectly named Kingmaker from the house of Chris Collins. This is the newest release. They did send this to me. Wow. The more I smell it, the more it draws me in. At first sniff, it was a little abrasive. It was not what I expected. I did a first impressions video as a short. You probably missed that, but the real ones caught it. So you got my first impressions in that video. But if you missed that, then you're seeing me right now with more time with this fragrance since that video. And boy, is it growing on me. It is one of those strangely intoxicating scents. Something like Gucci Guilty Absolute. Doesn't smell like that, but that scent is a little edgy and abrasive, but sometimes you can't stop smelling it. This is similar. Boy, the dry down on this is gorgeous. There's a lavender note, very natural smelling lavender that's in the heart, which you don't see very often, that comes out more as it dries, and it just makes this fragrance bloom and blossom. There's a good dose of spice when you first spray it on. Lots of cardamom. Cardamom is known to be a very alluring element, and I think that's what keeps me coming back even on first spray. I'm not completely turned off by the oud because that fresh, spicy, slightly sweet quality of the cardamom tickles you in just the right way.
Pause. Moving on.
It's a little bit resinous. There's some other florals hanging around in the heart that soften this thing, but again, the dry down is where it's at. Some of you may love this opening, even if it is a little bit too much at first. Some of you will absolutely not like this fragrance, so you've been warned. It is expensive. It smells expensive. I can say that about pretty much all of Chris Collins' fragrances, so get a sample first, please. I know I can't control what you do, but that's my highest recommendation. But this is another stunning release from the brand, something that stands out as an oud fragrance among thousands of oud fragrances on the market. This is beautiful stuff, and again, Kingmaker is the perfect name. From the house of Jovoy, they have a lot of offerings that will put hair on your chest. This is one of them, and this is called Incident Diplomatique. Not only is this bottle gorgeous, it's so heavy, you feel like it's created out of every dollar you spent on it. What a vetiver fragrance. A very unique take on vetiver. If vetiver could smell wet and ashy all at the same time, That's the vibe I get out of this. It's woody, it's grassy, a little bit green and smoky, but there is this like illusion of a wet booziness, like it's dripping wet. There's some mandarin orange that I think contributes to this juicy quality you get. I don't know what it is. I can't get enough of this stuff. I think it is a love it or hate it. That's why, once again, I would sample first, but if you love it, this is utter masculinity. This is a confident scent profile. I would dress this up, otherwise it might wear you. Let me know if you dig Incident Diplomatique. I think this is an utterly special fragrance among many of the others from the house. And the final fragrance, this is a total classic, came out in 1993. I am thrilled to have added it to my collection over the last couple months. I did do a short on it, paying homage to it as a timeless fragrance that you must try before you die. This is from Chanel and it's Platinum Egoiste. I'm so glad I finally got this fragrance. I've liked it for the past several years, even though when I first smelled it years back, it was a little too much for me. It smelled a little bit too mature, but in subsequent sniffings out in the wild, I've been drawn more and more to it, to the point where I couldn't wait anymore. I had to go into a Sephora and pay full price for it because it was just worth it. Actually, I forgot, this is my scent of the day. One of the best barbershop fougere fragrances out there, period. It is technically a fougere, which means it has a fresh, spicy quality. It means it has an almost clean, soapy quality. It has a deep mossiness and woodiness, and even a sweet kind of creamy quality to it, almost like shaving cream in a way. Classy, put together. You smell refined, you smell intentional. Again, you smell confident, but it's also easy to wear. This is a fragrance you can spray with ease. You don't have to worry about it being too overwhelming or smelling too stuffy or old or anything like that. It is perfect the way it is, even in this modern formulation. I can't speak for older ones, but I think it has beautiful presence. It is pristine the way it is. Let me know if you enjoy Chanel Platinum Egoiste, and if you have not yet tried it, don't be like me and wait forever and ever and ever. Go check it out. Well, that is the list. I hope you enjoyed my recommendations. They're going to be linked down in the description below. I want to know if you enjoy any of these fragrances down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.